horizontal rail and shiver in the cold. What have we got?
Sting plays a foreman in a shipyard about to be closed.
We got nothing else.
The Last Ship is a personal passion. He wrote all the songs and stars in the Toronto production. Certainly not his first performance here. Welcome back.
Nice to be
to
back.
Toronto and Canada.
Very excited to be here.
You came, I think, to Toronto for the first time almost more than 40 years ago. 1978 at the Horseshoe Tavern. And here you are, the young Sting.
Yeah, that's me. I've got a compass around my neck for some reason. I don't quite know why.
Compass.
I was trying to find my way home, maybe.
Still.
We played the Horseshoe Tavern, we played a place called The Edge.
Here's The Edge.
The Edge, yeah.
Yeah.
2 Garys, then used to do the police picnic. We became adopted by the city.
I like this one, the police picnic.
So we have a long history with this town.
You do.
Ship will be ready to sail. Our ship will be ready to sail.
Sting's musical is forged from his upbringing in a shipbuilding town in England. It's about the dignity of work and what happens when that work disappears.
I think the themes of the play are resonant with a world situation, where people are losing their jobs to automation or to abstract economic theories that excise the value of community. And that's happening everywhere. It's happening in the Midwest of America. I know it's happening here.
GM in Oshawa.
So the themes of the play are, very topical.
So what does he do?
The reason we're here is we want to show our support and solidarity for your cause here.
Well, last week he took the cast out to Oshawa, where the GM auto plant's closing. They perform for workers about to lose their jobs.
We built battleships and cruisers for Her Majesty the Queen, super tankers for Onassis, all the classes in between. The greatest ship in tonnage the world has ever seen.
We live in a time where people with influence rarely poke out their head.
It's a master class in public relations for the union and for the rocker.
You deserve to be looked after better by the company that you've supported. It's very simple.
But Sting has the pedigree. He shaped his character in an industry town. Tell me a little bit about your history with Wallsend and Newcastle.
I was born within spitting distance of a shipyard. My earliest memories are the bows of giant ships towering over our house. I watched thousands of men walk into that shipyard every morning as a child. I'd watch the same men come back home every night and wondered as a kid, is this my destiny? There was very little else in the town to do. My grandfather had worked in the yards. My father had built turbines. And that was the last thing I wanted to do.
And yet you've spent the last decade of your life putting it back together and revisiting it almost every moment of your existence. So why?
It's almost a psychic debt I have to pay for the community that created me. The engine that drove me to escape came from this community. But in later life, you realize that, like a salmon, you have to go back to your spawning ground at some point and make sense of the whole shape of your life. And you have to come to terms with the ghosts you left behind. So really it's a search for myself.
He said, you see these work boots in my hands? They'd probably fit you now, my son. Take them, they're a gift from me. Why don't you try them on?
Art of the Search is an exploration of the fractious relationship between father and son, which is deeply biographical.
I studied hard at school, I got a scholarship, and I went to grammar school and was taught French and Latin and philosophy and history, and my dad wasn't very supportive of that, and because he wanted me to have a technical education, something that he understood. Sometimes a father's love is misconstrued as being too controlling. And conversely, a son's ambition can just seem like a pie in the sky dream. I was a dreamer.
These dead man's boots, though they're old and curled, when a fella needs a job and a place in the world, And it's time for a man to put down roots and walk to the river in his old man's boots.
Dead Man's Boots is about that troubled relationship, and when Sting and I talked 5 years ago, he told me more about his dad. He didn't get what you did in the beginning. Did he ever?
I think towards the end, begrudgingly, yes. We had the same hands, exactly the same hands, and I'd never noticed that before, and he was dying. And I said that to him, and he said, well, you used your hands better than I did.
It's not as if he'd spoiled me with his kindness up to then, you see.
And he'd never really paid me a compliment before, so it was kind of, the timing was pretty devastating.
I'm done with all the arguments, there'll be no more disputes. And you'll die before you see me in your dead man's boots.
His father's gone now, but at 67, Sting has his own family, 6 grown children, including a daughter, Elliot Sumner, who followed his lead, and Joe Sumner, also a musician.
I know that the spades are the swords of the soldier.
How does that affect your relationship with your children? Your son's a musician, one of your daughters is a musician.
You have to ask them. You know, I'm not sure how good a parent I am at all. So really, it's a question they have to answer. I've spent a lot of my time on the road. They've been given great privileges. But you know, whether or not I'm a good father or not, I don't know. Ask them. I try my best.
When they make decisions that you think are ill-advised, do you think back to your father and say, well, I got to let them run because look what happened to me?
I have to let them run. I trust them. I trust them. I have 2 musicians, 2 actors, a filmmaker, and my youngest wants to be a cop. Because he says, oh, you're all creatives, and he used the term pejoratively. I want to do something useful for society, and I'm totally in support of it.
The Last Ship first launched on Broadway in 2014, but Sting wasn't in it. Reviews were decent, and it was nominated for 2 Tony Awards, but the theater didn't sell out, and it was reportedly losing money. What happened on Broadway? It closed earlier than you wanted. You stepped in to revive the production there. What happened?
It's not an easy subject for a Broadway audience, you know, but a difficult thing. We're going to watch a play about out-of-work shipyard workers. Maybe not. And so I went in there to, you know, boost ticket sales, and we did. But I could only do it for a month because I had a tour contract with Paul Simon. And then we brought it back to England and played it in my hometown. It's sort of spiritual home, if you like. And then the Mervishes came to see it in Dublin, loved it, and said, you should come to Toronto.
So was a condition of this coming with the Mervishes to Toronto that you would star for its run?
I think so. Yeah.
And did you have to think twice about that? Because you told me back in 2013 there was no part for you. You loved being a producer. You wanted to hand it over to the actors, and
I did.
It didn't turn out that way.
But having played it and realizing that I could play it, that I knew this character, when I knew his conflict, I knew his weaknesses, I knew his strengths. And I'm very happy to be playing that right now. And so I'm glad I made that decision to say yes.
But you could have said, okay, tried that, had a limited run, going to leave it. But you didn't.
No.
You're reviving it. Why?
There's something really important in this play, a message for the world. You know, I sat in the audience a lot and watched grown men crying in the darkness because they recognized their story. And that's a very profound feeling to have.
Did you actually sit at the back of the theater in New York?
Yeah.
Frequently or all the time?
Every night. I watched the show every night.
From the back, in the darkness?
Yeah.
Nobody knew you were there?
No, it's a great feeling. And when you get a standing ovation, you think, yeah.
That feels good.
That feels really good. And we got a standing ovation every night.
You've changed it. Tell me how.
I think the play is probably more political now than it was. It was important to go to England when people actually knew the reality, the tough reality of that situation, to be more truthful to that. It's less sentimental than it was. It's tougher. You can take it.
I think so.
The ship is sailing and will continue.
Perfect place to end. Thank you.
Thank you.